I have to do a quote unquote bad split right before we go out because in my mind, if I do a bad split, then my jump split is going to be perfect.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T. As usual, Ashley here, and I got my girl Alicia J with me. How are you doing, Alicia?
I'm doing great. I'm back home for the holidays, so
Where's
just
home? Let everyone know in case they're new to the pod where home is.
good old Beaverton, Oregon. So I'm out here in Beaverton with the family.
Didn't I call it Beavertown when I
You
was doing your
did.
interview? I did
I,
Beaverton,
it's
Beavertown.
okay. I let it. It's understandable. But now you know. Now you know.
Listen, now I know. But it is not about you and it is not about me on this podcast today because we have a very special guest, Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. You know, I'm very excited to talk anything Dallas Cowboys. I know you guys see the helmet behind me. We already know. Armani Latimer joins us. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. Not only did you cheer a game yesterday, it's the holiday season. There's just a lot going on. So I know that you could be a billion and one different places doing a billion and one different things, but we are so grateful that you are here with us and we have a lot to get into with you. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're comfortable.
Yes.
We're gonna get situated. First and foremost, how are you doing? It's been a whirlwind these past few weeks for you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I love all of the positive attention that my my diagnosis is getting and the positive traction and all of the love that people who have alopecia are getting. So I think it's great. And I've just been kind of just swept up in this whirlwind and I'm here for it. I'm here for the ride.
For people who are unfamiliar with what alopecia is, can you break it down in the simplest of terms for people who, like I said, are unfamiliar with what exactly that means?
Of course. So alopecia is a autoimmune disease that causes hair loss. So basically, your hair has this little hole called a hair follicle, and when you have alopecia, it closes up, and the hair follicle cannot produce any hair strands. And so there are different forms of alopecia. You can either totally lose your hair, or you can kind of have a range in the middle, or you can just have bald spots which is called alopecia areata, which is what I was diagnosed with when I was younger.
Well, and your story has gone nationwide. Ashley talked about the whirlwind that has happened. But for those who don't know, you are a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. And
Mhm.
recently you decided to perform without your wig on. And it was a moment that, I mean, like I said, it went nationwide. And, everybody really just wanted to know more about you and more about your story, which is why we're here today as well. But can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that moment and why you decided to actually perform without your wig?
Yeah, of course. So as far as I've known, the NFL has had this campaign called My Cause, My Cleats,
Mm-hmm.
where each of the players get a chance to connect with an organization or a cause that's near and dear to them, their families, their friends, whatever that may be. And so a few years ago, the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders decided to take that on as well, and we transformed it into our own campaign of My Cause, My Boobs. And so every year, each cheerleader gets to pick a cause, an organization that is near and dear to her heart. And so for this season and the past 2 seasons, my cause has been alopecia awareness because I was diagnosed when I was 12. And I recently lost all of my hair my second season cheering on the team. And this year, since I knew I was coming up on my final days as a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, I kind of just wanted to make a bold statement about alopecia awareness just to continue the conversation for those who are continuously struggling with it. I know there are actually a lot of NFL cheerleaders who struggle with it who haven't been as outspoken about it. So I just wanted to do something to help raise awareness for that. And so that's where the idea of dancing without my wig came from, just kind of laid on my heart. And it never went away. So I had the conversation with our director of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, and she loved the idea. And then now we're here where I've already cheered the game without my wig, and it's been great. It's been a big conversation.
I mean, when you talk about the Cowboys, we know the star is bright in Dallas,
Mhm.
most valuable franchise in all the NFL. It's a different microscope that the team's under, that everybody part of the team is under, and that includes the cheerleaders. I feel like this is the only cheer team who I know has had a reality show, multiple seasons of a reality show, and
Yeah.
we know the pressure that, the cheerleaders are under to look a certain way, to fit into the uniform, to,
Mhm.
adhere to what the star represents. So, with all of those things kind of riding on what it means to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, how scary was it to step outside of that box and to go against what the norm of what a cheerleader is supposed to look like, specifically when you talk about a cheerleader as famous as a Dallas Cowboys one?
Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking. You don't know what people's reaction is going to be because just like you said, there's a certain standard that people are used to when you see the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Mhm.
Um, no one's ever seen a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader with, really, really short hair or bald even. So deciding to take the step of stepping out without my wig, was probably the scariest decision that I've ever had to make, but I think I knew in the end it was going to be much more beneficial for not only myself, but the people who come after me if I took the initial step of going out there.
When you talk about that, I think about other dancers that are out there that
Mhm.
have alopecia. What would your advice be to somebody who literally just wants to dance without a wig or just to dance without hair at all? Because I know that even thinking about auditions and the process of going through that, thinking about just dancing in any capacity, I would imagine that, having hair is something that you feel like you should have going into those auditions. So, what would your advice be to another, girl with alopecia, woman with alopecia that wants to dance without her wig? What would your advice be to her?
I would say 100% go for it. Um, the difference between you and another person going out and dancing for the team of your dreams is just the fact that you would have no hair and she would have hair, but that doesn't disqualify you from being the best person, the best dancer, the best fit for the team. It actually increases your opportunities of standing out and being different, and you should embrace that fully. If I didn't have any hair before I auditioned, I would have 100% danced without my wig. So I just encourage anyone else who's thinking about it and doesn't have any hair and wants to try it out, go for it. I support you 100%. And I know the right people will embrace you and support you 100% as well.
I want to get to what led up to the point of you feeling confident and secure enough to dance without your wig, because obviously hair is such a huge part of what society, puts so much of the beauty of a woman into, especially in certain communities, especially in the Black community. Our hair
Mhm.
is kind of everything. And when you are diagnosed with something that can potentially make you lose your hair, I would imagine, especially being a young woman going through the stages of puberty and adolescence and just going through all the different things that that comes with on its own accord, and then adding that on top of it must have been very difficult. Kids can be mean, and you're also
Mhm.
trying to get into your own as a woman, as a young woman, and now something that so much of your beauty is wrapped up in because of society and societal standards. You're now at, there's a possibility, like I said, that you could lose it. What was that journey for you like to get to the point that you could feel confident to dance without your wig on one of the biggest stages in the world?
Yeah, definitely a lot of ebbs and flows throughout that journey for sure. Just like you said, there's um, a lot of things that come behind being a woman, not even just a woman, a Black woman and having hair. I remember growing up and kids would tease, other girls about not having enough hair or, if your hair didn't grow fast enough, you were this or that. So when I finally got to the point where I didn't have any hair, those comments and things that you heard as a little kid, those obviously are the first things that come rushing back to your mind. But just surrounding myself with the best support system in the world, in my opinion, I give them so much credit because I would not be this person here sitting in front of you today, being able to go out on a field and dance without my wig, um, without them encouraging me, continuing to pour love into me, and reminding me that I'm not my hair. It's a lot easier said than done for sure, but just the continuous process of having that support system and just kind of finding a new way to talk about myself and not letting those comments as a kid come back and enter my brain. You just have to keep stepping forward into what's true, and what's true is I was supposed to be on this journey. I was supposed to lose my hair for a reason. I was supposed to be born with alopecia for a reason, and you just have to keep believing those things because everything does happen for a reason.
It sure does. And I just kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into kind of the journey of alopecia. I think when people see someone with alopecia, or they see, the images of you dancing with no hair, they just think you just don't have hair, but there's a process to it. You just said that, when you just lost your hair, when you auditioned, or right
Mhm.
after you auditioned, I believe. So can you tell us a little bit about that process and like what it has just taught you about life in general? Because you've had to kind of like, shed a lot along the way. And I'm not saying that as like a pun or anything, but it is something that you've had to deal with. So can you just talk a little bit more about just the journey like alopecia has, and kind of what you've had to go through having alopecia?
Yeah. So I was diagnosed when I was 12, diagnosed with alopecia areata. And that basically means that I would just have bald spots and they would either grow back or not. It just kind of depend on the situation at hand. They would start off pretty small, and as I got older, they would grow in size. They would take a little longer to grow back. And so it just made the overall process of just my natural hair growing a lot harder. And so having to go through that throughout those important years of middle school and high school, you kind of have to figure out who you are as a person a little sooner. And it was it was a struggle for me, honestly. I did a lot of protective styles, sew-ins. I did some wigs when I got to college. When I was in college, I didn't really like wigs, so I kind of just went back to the sew-ins. And braids weren't really an option for me because tension can cause more damage than good with alopecia, unfortunately. So, I wasn't always able to get those really cool hairstyles that a lot of African American or women of color get in the summertime. And just having to figure out different hairstyles that worked for me. But really, just again, the whole entire process from when I was diagnosed to now is was just a journey. And I think it just speaks to anything that you go through in life, you're not gonna have highs for everything. You're not gonna have lows for everything. You might have, a few months of highs and then 1 week of low, and then, it just kind of changes. And so does alopecia. So I think just knowing that I can pinpoint my alopecia and my journey to other things as well that I've gone through has really helped me develop as a person. And I think just overall, the journey has been great looking back from right here where I'm at. Obviously, when you're in it, it's not fun.
Right,
Um,
right.
but but now I'm appreciative of that
I mean,
journey.
you talk about the journey and how it's developed you, and obviously that goes back to your support system. I wonder, what was the most pivotal piece of advice that they gave you at any point during this journey? Because I'm sure there's a lot of gems dropped along the way, but I think what was the piece that you hold nearest and dearest to your heart that you are constantly kind of reverting back to whenever, you feel the diagnosis getting the best of you or your insecurities getting the best of you?
That's a good one. I think the best advice that I ever received throughout this entire process is that I am fearfully and wonderfully made by the most perfect person who has ever walked this earth. And if he can look at me and say that I'm perfect, then I need to believe that. Um, and honestly, just reminding myself of that every single day, that wipes out every single negative comment, every bad thing that I could ever think about my alopecia, because obviously he wouldn't have created me this way for no reason.
Amen.
Listen, you preaching up in here. I'm about to get
Amen.
it. Amen. All of that.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward, I know you just said that you're nearing the end as being a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. What is
Mhm.
next for you? I'm really curious
And
because now
is that a personal decision, or is there like a time frame that you're allowed to be like, is it like a 5-year window and then you have to kind of give up your spot? Like,
It's a
how does
personal
that work?
decision. Yeah,
Okay,
no,
got
it's
it.
a personal decision.
Okay.
We do have a girl on the team. She's in her sixth season currently, and we've had women on the team in the past. They've done 7, 8. It just kind of
Got
depends
it.
on
Okay.
you, depend on your body. Um, there are some girls who try out when they're younger, and so they can do a lot more
Got
years.
it.
Um,
Okay.
I'm not a young chicken anymore. So I know it's coming to the end. But to answer your question, um, my goal is to go to law school and to become a lawyer. I want to practice special victims law. So yeah, whenever I decide to hang up my boots, I will be applying to law schools.
well,
Well,
speaking of your boots, you've
yeah.
had a lot of support from your teammates, on your team as the
Mhm.
Dallas Cowboys dance or cheerleader, I should say. What has the support from them been like, especially when you made the decision to not wear your wig and perform?
Oh my goodness. I think they were more excited for me than I was actually. When I told them, they were, jumping up and down with excitement. And I think it just speaks to the testament of who the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders are as an organization. A lot of people hear that we're a sisterhood, but some people don't seem to think that's true. But I'm here to tell you that it is 100% true. They were cheering me on every single second of that game day, and if anyone watches a video of me from that game, I don't think there's one moment that I don't have a tear in my eye just because of all of the
I was
love and
watching, I
support.
saw as a
Yes.
fan, I was definitely tuned in. So
Yes, just all of the love, all of the support. They even 2 of my teammates helped me tan my head because with wearing a wig, my scalp is a different color than the rest of
yeah.
my body naturally. And they were like, we don't think you can go out there with your head a different color than the rest of yourself. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you're probably right. So just support and love from day one. They also have been my backbone throughout this entire process. I joke with them all the time about my alopecia, and it's great when you go through something and you can joke about it with people and they don't get uncomfortable, because when people get uncomfortable when you make jokes, then it makes you feel uncomfortable, and then it kind of reverts the process of just being okay and making it a norm. So I do appreciate them for the support and just letting me letting me be throughout this entire journey.
I mean, I think you looked absolutely beautiful. And I just have to say, you have a beautifully shaped head. I know a
Thank you.
lot of people cannot, even people who don't have alopecia, who, men who have a receding hairline or whatever, not everybody can be bald. Not everyone has the head shape
True.
for it. I don't know about you, Alicia. I couldn't pull it off. I have
I
huge
know I
ears.
couldn't.
I would look ridiculous. There's
Oh,
just a
I think you
certain
guys
group
will
of
look
people who can
beautiful.
do it. I think of Iman, the supermodel. I think of Amber Rose. I think of Jada Pinkett. Like, there are
Mhm.
just so many women who have just such beautiful features and head shapes and jaw lines that they can pull off hair, no hair. It doesn't matter. I definitely put you in that category. That is something that you
Thank
have
you.
that Alicia and I do not, because girl, I promise you we would not look the same.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
trust me when
Well,
I say that.
credits to my parents for that. I honestly
Come
get it
on,
from both of
jeans.
them.
Well, speaking of your parents, your dad also has alopecia.
He
And I
does.
wonder, obviously it's different for a man, and
Mhm.
the standards of beauty are different for men, but I wonder what it was like going through your experience, knowing that in some way, shape, or form, he understood a lot of what you were going through and the ebbs and the flows and the emotions. Again, it's different for men and women, but there is a commonality there that you're both losing something that so much of your beauty is wrapped up in some way, shape,
Mhm.
or form.
Yeah, I would say he was a pivotal part of this entire journey. Um, Obviously, there were things that I would talk to my mom about, but there's, things as far as actually going through losing your hair with alopecia that I couldn't talk to her about. So, I naturally went to my dad. And, being a daddy's girl, it makes it even better because when you're feeling down, you just go to your dad and he gives you encouragement. And he calls me his twin. We actually look just alike when I'm not wearing my wig. So it's actually really funny, but I have really enjoyed having him throughout this process. Um, and I don't think I would have been able to have have gotten through this without his continued words of wisdom, and encouragement from his point of view.
Well, looking at the point of view that you have now, what would you say to your 12-year-old self who was just diagnosed with alopecia?
I would say hold on tight because you are about to go through a journey. But when you get on the other side, you are going to understand every single moment of that journey. So just embrace everything, take nothing for granted. Even the negative self talk, don't take that for granted too, because you have to come out on the other side of that negative self talk. So embrace every single part of your journey.
I love that. Well, listen, before we let you go, we like to play a little game of rapid fire with all of our guests that come through. We need to
Oh,
talk.
goodness.
So we're going to ask you a series of questions and you
Okay.
just give us the first answer that comes to mind, okay?
Okay.
Favorite female athlete?
Oh, Angel Reese.
Nice. We're Andrew Reese fans on this pod, so great answer. Favorite male athlete?
Oh, Jalen Hurts.
I mean, I'm not mad at it, girl.
Neither am I.
Favorite sport that isn't football?
Basketball.
Yeah, that's me. Favorite thing about cheerleading and being a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader?
Oh, that I get to combine my love of dance and my love of sports at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. Any superstitions, whether it's before a game or just in general?
I have a few. So I have to wear two pairs of socks in my boots. One has to be a short sock, one has to be a long sock.
Okay.
I have to do a quote unquote bad split right before we go out because in my mind, if I do a bad split, then my jump split is going to be perfect.
Okay.
And then I have a handshake with a few of my teammates that I do right before we go out as well.
Okay. I'm not mad at those. Favorite hobby?
I love to read.
Me too, girl. One of my goals this year was to read a book a month, and I
Mm.
actually accomplished it. I'm on my 12th book for the year.
Wow.
So I'm very,
Kudos.
very excited I got one thing off my New Year's resolution. And speaking of something you want to accomplish in the new year.
Um, I want to have a better morning routine. I'm not a morning person at all. So I
Feel
need
that.
to start going to bed early and having a good morning routine. So that's something I'm going to try for 2025.
Well, you let me know if you accomplish that because that's been one of my
Okay.
resolutions for the past 5 years and I keep falling short. So
It's okay.
um,
One day we're going to get it. If we just keep putting it
hopefully
on the list,
it's,
someday it's going to click.
I keep saying I'm going to wake up before 9, never do.
Oh, it's okay.
Well, I don't know about all of you, but I know that I'm gonna go try one long sock on and one short sock on and see how it just enhances my life and my daily flow
There
for the
you
year.
go.
But seriously, I just want to thank you so much for being here. You are inspiring. You really are. I know you've
Oh,
heard it
thank you.
so much. Especially since you decided to perform without your wig, but regardless of that or not, you are so inspiring on so many levels. Thank you for being brave because
Oh,
it's
thank
not an
you.
easy thing to do in this world, especially with social media.
Mm.
Yeah.
But you inspired so many people. You inspired us, and you inspired girls and women that do have alopecia, and they needed to see you do what you did. So thank you so much on
Oh,
behalf of
thank
everybody,
you.
really.
Oh, thank
Yes,
Yeah.
you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate you saying that, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
happy holidays for
yeah.
sure.
Happy
Happy New
holidays.
Year.
Yeah.
Wishing you so many blessings and good things in the new year. So,
Thank you. You too as well. Happy holidays. I hope you and your families have a great one.
thank you.
Ashley, I'm just so honored that we got to speak with her because, she was everywhere. And as soon as I saw the story, I was like, we have to have her on
Yeah.
because she's so inspiring. So
Yeah.
super excited that we got to speak with her. And, if you're not connected to us, you're not going to get these amazing conversations that we are having. So make sure that you connect on all levels. Below, we're going to have a QR code right after we hop off that you can scan that will give you all the information to listen to us, subscribe, connect, and all those good things so you can have every single conversation that we have right to you. You get the alerts, you're ready to go, and you can listen to all these amazing interviews that we're having on We Need to Talk Now, presented by AT&T.
It's my Vanna White presentation. Pay attention.
Give her the job.
Oh,
The new Vanna
just
White. Yeah. Come on.
hands.
She got it.